So the Amazing Digital Circus is over. And my God, it is stinking that theater, boys. I've never smelled such a smelly smell in my fucking life. It smelled like corn chips and toenail clippings. It was not a pleasant environment to be in. But aside from that, let's talk about the movie. As you know, half of it would be episode 8 and the other half would be episode 9, which is the finale. And I'm not gonna lie, after watching episode 8 like a bunch of times, watching it in theaters did feel like a drag. I can understand why it would be great for somebody who hasn't really watched it over and over and over again like myself. But aside from that, in spoilers, this whole video is spoilers, just in case you didn't read the title or see the beginning of the video. Spoilers ahead, you had your warning, Jax at strats, and I was so happy. It's the most satisfying feeling I've ever felt in my fucking life. Seeing that dickhead at strat, oh my God, there's not enough pleasure in the world. There's not enough happiness in the world to describe how I felt seeing him and his bitch ass fucking disappear. That feeling lasted for about a minute before the entire rest of the movie just became the Jax show. And that's what I dislike the most about this. But before I get into the criticism, let me get into what I really liked about this show. Visually, this is one of the best episodes they've ever released. They really put all of their effort and time into this episode, and it shows. It very much shows. There's one sequence where Jax is abstracting, and honestly, the visuals felt like a fucking acid trip, and I love every second of it. That shit is what I wanted more of throughout the entire movie. Another thing I admired about this movie was the group dynamic. That was one of the strongest parts of the episode. Seeing them all huddle together and really team up while excluding that bitch ass nigga Jax, best part of the whole episode. Everyone finally feels united, and the contrast between the cast growing closer while Jax slowly excluding himself from the group was handled incredibly well, and it even parallels to a future character that we will see eventually and I will talk about eventually. On the other hand though, I do feel like there were some moments that were a bit melodramatic, to say the least. Like for example, Pomni and Ragged's emotional scene didn't fully land with me. It just felt like they were crying just to cry, and it just felt out of place from the entire rest of the fucking show. It seemed like they wanted us to cry with them, but honestly, I couldn't give less than a fuck. Another positive is the ending. I love the ending of the characters. Specifically, I love how each character gets to their path and gets to their satisfying ending. Everybody gets to learn their names, they get to learn everything about themselves in the real world, and that overall was tear-inducing. Not to me, but to niggas in the crowd, because I did hear some people sniveling and sniffing like, bro, it's not that serious, bro. It's the Amazing Digital Circus. Relax. But now that we're on the topic of endings and having grand reveals, let me take a step into my critiques, which there are a lot of. So in this, they finally reveal the reason they're there and how they're there and why they're there. And honestly, it felt very underwhelming and just rushed. And to put it simply, very out of nowhere. Kinger literally just says it and we're just having to deal with that. There's no build up or grand reveal. There's just Kinger. Yeah, Kinger basically just says, yeah, you're all digital copies. Good luck. It's just lazy. It's just lazy writing. And yeah, you could tell that Goosewords kind of just wanted to get it out the way, get that reveal out the way so she can focus on her favorite fucking character in the world. I'm gonna tell you this right now, if you don't like Jax, don't watch this movie. It's not for you. It's gonna make you hate him even more, and at some point I wanted to fucking grab his throat and just strangle his ass through the fucking screen. I hate that nigga so much. Jax is officially one of the most hateable characters in fiction, and that's not a good thing. I hate Jax more than I hate Homelander, and that's fucking insane, because at least Homelander has redeemable qualities, like he has a fat ass. Jax is just an iron board. That motherfucker has no cake back there. There's nothing redeemable about him. But we do figure out why Jax is the way he is. We find out his tragic backstory, I guess. Yeah, I'm guessing he killed his mom, or believes he killed his mom. Okay, does that excuse his actions? Hell no. Every time I see him on screen, it just frustrates me. And the fact that he makes up a good 1/3 of this movie, I'm telling you guys right now, do not watch this movie if you despise Jax with a passion. No lie, most of this movie is about him. And a lot of this movie is him being even more of a dick than he was in episodes 1 to 8. This episode literally is the worst he's ever been. So I'm begging you, if you do not like him, do not watch this. I'm telling you right now, he will rage bait the fuck out of you. The main focus of this film is Jax abstracting in how they're gonna get him back, I believe. I think that's what they were trying to do. At that point, I was just so over it, bro. There's one sequence where it shows his entire backstory, right? Him and this new character we see, well, old character. We just haven't seen her up to this point, but it's him and this new character called Ribbit. Him and her have this little unique relationship. They have a growing, blossoming relationship. And once he reveals his backstory towards her, he ultimately shuts down and distances himself from her. And not only himself, he distances her from the rest of the group, which ultimately causes her to abstract. When I tell you the rage I felt is incomparable to anything I felt throughout a recent animated series. This guy, I wish the worst for him. I hate him. And it's not a hate where it's good writing level hate. It's the hatred of how characters in this show are excusing his flaws and are trying to save him when he's been nothing but a dickhead this entire series. He has not done anything that has been funny, enjoyable to the audience, has been enjoyable to the characters. He has been nothing but a piece of shit this entire time. And we're just supposed to accept that the final episode is about him and his tragic backstory. Who cares? I don't give a fuck about Jax. But back to the sequence. Yeah, the sequence was overdone. It would cut back to this visual stretchy representation of abstraction, and they would do that for like 20 minutes. It felt like an hour, to be honest, because it was just so annoying to see that cut back to the abstraction while I'm trying to lock in on his backstory, and it lasted way too long for me. Another thing that lasted way too long, why did they randomly insert "Isn't She Lovely" by Stevie Wonder in a sequence? That was very strange. I mean, it's Stevie Wonder, so it's acceptable, but it doesn't fit the vibe of the show, if you know what I mean. It just felt out of nowhere and out of place. After that sequence, we get one of the best reveals of all time, my boy Kane. When I tell you I audibly gasped when I saw that he was still alive. Oh, I love Kane. Kane made this movie 10 times better. No lie, his presence upgraded the film for me. After Kane came in, no more Jax. No more Jax delays. Oh my God. I love that. I love that when Kane comes in, everything good happens. And I told y'all through multiple videos, Kane is not evil. He's just misunderstood. Y'all misunderstood him. Kane just needed to learn what life was outside of the circus, and then he can relate to the feeling that these characters are feeling. He just needed that relatability. And y'all keep hating on my nigga Kane. How about you take that hate and put it to Jax? Cause a lot of y'all glaze Jax. I know that. Jax is a bitch. And I stand by that shit. I've never seen a community dick ride an asshole so much, bro. And let's talk about the Kane sequence, because my God, that was beautiful as well. It was a perfect representation of code and how code learns and how AI learns. And it cutting back from simple illustrations of simple squares, circles, and various other shapes to his more complex character design. That whole sequence, in my opinion, is the best sequence in all of the show. That was the most beautiful and eye-catching scene that I've seen throughout this entire series, and I loved every bit of it, mostly because of Kane. Kane is my guy, #1. We stand Kane around here, guys. But something that was weird was, who the fuck is the moon nigga? There's just a moon character that just talks to Kane, and he's just like, are you ready? Are you ready to go back in there? Like, he's basically Kane's therapist. Who the fuck is this moon nigga? Why didn't they just use Bubble instead of the moon? Bubble has a better relationship. I haven't even seen Kane talk to the moon. When has Kane ever talked to the moon? I may be mistaken. Maybe he does have a 1-second scene with the moon where they share each other's personal secrets and read each other's diaries or whatever. But like him having this personal conversation with the moon, just a lot of this movie fell out of nowhere. They would just throw things at you and they would just be like, hey, whatever. All to benefit the runtime having multiple Jax scenes and multiple Jax delays. If y'all simply focused 1% less on Jax, We could have had most of this makes fucking sense, and most of this not feel like a rushed mess. But let me go into some more positives, because a lot of the themes do work here. Like, for example, Jax is acting just like how he describes his mom, which explains why he's such a bitch ass nigga. That does not excuse him being a bitch ass nigga, because I still hate him. Okay, I'm not gonna go on another tangent, but he's a bitch ass nigga, and I think I've said that like 5 times in this review, but that's how I feel. But those themes and how they connect to the integral part of each character is very powerful, and I just love how it's done. And the characterization ultimately meets a boiling point at the end, where they all view each other's lives through the lens of social media. I did like that a lot. It was pretty brilliant. It was very visually ambitious. I did like seeing that they all got their own satisfying endings outside of the circus. But overall, despite some pacing issues and some rush reveals, the ending succeeds in landing on the arcs of every character, and it embraces the show's central themes without being too on the nose about everything. Now, it's not perfect, but I would say if you're a bit fan of Digital Circus and you don't hate Jax with all your heart, it is worth a watch. It's not all I would have asked for, but ultimately the conclusion was satisfying, and compared to the recent endings of shows we've seen thus far, it's pretty good in comparison. That's the end of the review. That's the end of this video. If you liked it, remember to subscribe, and yeah, peace.
Waiting